My name is Joey Calveri. We're here at the Helen Hayes Theater, and I play the role of Stacee Jaxx in Rock of Ages on Broadway. I've been doing Stacee Jaxx since about December. Since December, yeah.
And when did you
About a little over 6 months, yeah. I first joined the company for the first national tour when it first went out on tour. At that time, I was playing Joey Primo. And, you know, I toured the whole U.S. with that for about 6 months. I left the tour to do another show on Broadway, which didn't last very long. So luckily, Rock of Ages was so fantastic, they brought me right back over here to the Helen Hayes, and I've been here doing that role for a while, and then later on I got bumped up to Stacee Jaxx. I covered at that time so many different characters in the show, you know, that's kind of a, you know, you kind of become like an asset to the company when you do something like that. So you don't really get your hopes up about ever getting bumped up because they're like, well, if we bump him up, then we lose our understudy for this and this and this and this and this. So when I actually found out, I was just ecstatic. I mean, it's my first Broadway lead. It's like the most wonderful thing. Rock of Ages has been like a huge, like helpful family to a lot of people in their career. It's funny because when I first saw it off Broadway, I first saw Rock of Ages off Broadway for the opening night. And when I actually saw it, I was like, wow, they finally wrote a show I can do. It's like, you know, because it's rocking and it's very quirky. It's, you know, it's got like a fun, quirky side to it, which is all me, you know. So I was like, I got to be in this show. So, but when you saw it in that small space, you didn't really realize, like, is it actually going to survive that long on Broadway? Because it seemed like such an intimate show. When it was going to get bumped up to the Brooks Atkinson at the time, we all were like, oh, look, do well, such a great show. We don't want it to die because of Broadway. We don't want Broadway to kill it, you know what I mean? But it was so wonderful when we all saw that it was doing so well, got Tony nominations, was doing all of that, and it actually did get received by a bigger theater. So seeing it that way. And then when it moved to the Helen Hayes, which was one of the most brilliant things that they could have ever done, because it's actually more of an intimate theater, but still a Broadway house, and so they got a little bit best of both worlds in all this. The audiences from our show to other shows are extremely different. And we actually have bouncers at our show. It's like, well, you know, we serve alcohol, people have fun, they get crazy, they have like a loud time. You know, it's funny because you get the actual theater goers that come and see the show, and they're sitting there with their playbills, and they're like, oh, you know, what do we expect? We don't know what to expect. And at the end, even them that are coming to see like a Broadway musical are on their feet and screaming at the end. But they get a little thrown off in the very beginning of the show because they see us running around, rocking out, and throwing ourselves around. They're like, oh, what's going on? And then we get the other crowds that come to see just a rock concert. So they come in, they're already hooting and hollering and going crazy and jumping around. I'm actually pretty smarmy by nature. So, I mean, a lot of people are just like, Joey, it just makes sense that Joey's doing Stacee Jaxx because I'm already this slinky kind of guy. But I spend a lot of time in the mirror. I make love to myself for a very long time in the mirror. Like, you know, you put on the wig, and you put on the hat, and you got the lips, you know, the glitter lips on, sorry. And you're just like, you're looking at yourself, and you're like, yeah, man. Yeah, you just look fantastic today. Let's go kill him. You know, it's like that whole like feeling that you get before you go on stage, you know. That's kind of my prep right there, you know.
That's awesome.
The cast, number one, it's like, it's so easy to get stuck in shows without just cool people, and this is just, it's always had such an amazing family turnover. No matter how many different actors have come through the show, the cast have always had this really cool, comedic, raw nature to themselves, and it's always kept it so cool. Like to be working with everybody in the show. The music, even when you're tired, you get ready to walk out on stage and you're just like, oh man, I'm so tired, man. I don't know if I could do it again today. And all of a sudden you hear that, you hear those guitars kick, and you're just like, oh my gosh, let's do it, I can't wait. You know, so the guitars in the beginning just kind of get you really going. So even when you think you have no energy left, you're like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more than I thought I had. Yeah. I am probably one of the only people not on the softball team. Me and sports just never clicked. It never clicked. Not only that, but I'm also very busy with. I have a band that I perform with, and so my days off are all spent at band practice. So I really don't get a lot of rest between my band and doing the show. So I don't have all that extra time. But I try to make it out there to watch the guys play whenever they can. It's always, I mean, they kill it. Those guys, they win every single time. They're pretty amazing. Yeah.